Well, here it is, my 20-year-old Lexus GX470, and this is replacing, well, it replaced my 2021 Tacoma. I'm gonna go ahead and park this and give you guys a tour. Well, here she is, and I'm gonna tell you guys exactly why downgrading to a 20-year-old Lexus was probably the best choice I've made in a very long time. So yeah, it is 20 years old. It's got 179,000 miles on it, but it runs fantastic. Now, as I mentioned, this did replace my 2021 Tacoma, which was fully loaded, had leather seats, everything you can get on the package that the TRD Sport could have. I had it on that truck with a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, the reason why I got rid of it was just to get out of the payment. I wanted to get a little bit more financially free, and that's why I went with the Lexus. This Lexus behind me comes with a V8, the 2UZ. So if you don't know too much about Toyotas, the Lexus is just a higher upgraded version of a Toyota, and that 2UZ comes in a bunch of different models. It comes in the Sequoia, the Tundra, the Lexus behind me, and some 4Runners of the 4th gen variety. They either came with a V6 or you get them with a V8. This 2UZ is bulletproof and one of the best engines Toyota has ever made because of how bulletproof. It is easily seen going into 500,000 miles and still running great. It will just run forever. The only problem is you've got to change the timing belt every 100,000 miles. That's the only problem that makes this engine not truly bulletproof, is it has a timing belt rather than a timing chain. Technical specs aside here, why did I actually pick this vehicle? Well, it was the cheapest vehicle, one that I could afford and buy out in cash, and it was the most bulletproof that would replace my Tacoma and everything my Tacoma does. If you're new to this channel, I built up my Toyota Tacoma to live out of full time. My wife and I traveled the East Coast and we lived out of this Tacoma for 7 months. So I wanted a vehicle that could be adventurous, that I could also live out of if I want to do longer journeys, which I do plan on doing them out of this vehicle behind me. This is exactly what I was looking for. I also didn't want a truck because I've had a truck and I didn't want to modify it completely. I didn't want to put a bed rack or a cap on it to hold the tent. I just didn't want to deal with that. I wanted something I could just throw my tent on the roof of, call it a day, and hit the trails. And that's when I came across this. Now, I was debating between the 4th gen 4Runner with the V8 in it or the Lexus. I was leaning more towards the 4Runner because it has less of the amenities, less of the electronic doodads that this has. This Lexus behind me actually comes completely packed with more features than my 2021 Tacoma had, which is great because hopping in the front seat of this and driving it, I don't regret it at all. I don't even really notice that I'm in a 20-year-old car because all the features are either more or the same as my 2021. Very surprised by that. I thought I would be regretting it, missing some of the features. Now, I don't have all the features my truck had. I don't have blind spot monitoring and I don't have a rear camera, but I am going to be adding a rear camera in the future. So that's why I picked the Lexus here behind me, because it's just as capable as my truck was. It can actually haul more than my truck by a couple 100 pounds, and it's just as capable off-road, and it is modified quite a little bit. So I'll talk about some of the modifications that are on this vehicle behind me before, ending this video, just so you can know where I'm starting this vehicle out at. But yeah, this Lexus behind me has been blowing me away ever since I bought it. I'll tell you a story about how I went and got this and some of the risks you could have if you're planning on downgrading to an older vehicle yourself, some risks you might want to look out for as well, because this was pretty stressful to make this whole project work with selling my Tacoma, getting out from underneath the payment, getting this. It was pretty wild and stressful. So adding recording a YouTube video into that mix probably would have just made it 1,000 times worse. It was crazy. I can't wait to tell you guys the story, but let's go ahead and talk about the Lexus a little bit more. I'm going to tell you about all the features it has. Let's go to the front. So looking at the basic technical spec sheet of this Lexus behind me, it's a body on frame SUV. Everybody calls it a truck. I never really considered 4Runners or Lexuses or the GX a truck, but the community calls it a truck. So I'm gonna not insult the community, and I'm gonna also be calling this thing behind me a truck. And if you got a problem with it, take it up with the community. I've already pissed the Tacoma guys off enough by selling my truck. We're calling this a truck, okay? I don't need a whole nother community mad at me. So this truck behind me, body on frame, has got independent front suspension and an axle in the back. It performs really well, and it does have that 2UZ V8, which is paired to an automatic transmission. And it seems to be holding up really well. It does have 179,000 miles on it, and it shifts great. I don't know when the fluid was changed. I am planning on doing that here, but it shifts great, and I really have no issues with this. This is full-time four-wheel drive, so always there's power going in the front and rear tires. Driving how it is without engaging the center lock, you get 30% of the power to the front and 70% of the power in the back. Once you engage that center diff, it goes 50-50, which is really nice. Right now it is winter. It is about 10 degrees where I'm at right now, and I live at the top of a hill, and I don't plow my driveway. I just drive over it because I always have a vehicle that can just climb anything. So it's nice to be able to turn that center diff on, divide the power 50-50, and climb up everything. It seems to be performing really well. So basically, if you're familiar with the 4th gen V8 4Runner, this is basically identical, but the inside's a little bit bigger and it has a little bit more creature comforts in it because it is a Lexus. So basically on the outside, it's honestly the same as the 4Runner, the same bulletproof engine, bulletproof transmission, everything is solid and good to go. I'm going to bring you guys on the inside here to show you some of the features it has that I was really impressed with and why I'm not really missing my Tacoma at this point. So coming on the inside, we have leather seats, although my driver's seat is not in the best shape, but because I paid under $10,000 for this vehicle, you know, it gets a pass for that kind of stuff. There's the automatic transmission. Here is the transfer case for low and high gears. That is where the center diff is. It has heated seats. This radio doesn't work correctly, so we're going to be working on that. The speakers are not connected, or at least no audio is coming through it, so got to solve that, but that's some of the problems you get when you buy a used vehicle. It does have a sunroof, but it is broken, so if I want it to work, I'm going to have to grease the slides and replace the motor up in here. Other than that, we have power mirrors, we have heated mirrors, we have an AC inverter in the back, we have automatic windows, all 4 of them. It actually has a 12 speaker system, so each of these front doors have 3 speakers, has a sub. Pretty crazy. Once I can get it to work, I'm gonna love it. Let's go ahead and check the back out here. Back, as you see, leather seats, nice and big. Up here is pretty cool. It has a DVD player. It does not work right now. I was messing with it the other night, but it has it. If I can get it to work, the CD player is down in here with all those settings. It has rear heating and air back here. It is pretty neat because it even shoots the heat and air out of these vents back here. So if you have a dog that sits in the back, it can actually breathe correctly. Let's hop in the back hatch here. Coming in the back hatch, it's locked. Jeez. Back hatch, door opens up this way, pretty neat, instead of up. And it has 3rd row seating back here, which is pretty wild. I will be taking these out for some extra room. You know, I'm going to be building this for adventure. Don't really need a 3rd row seating, but it does work. And it's pretty neat. So fully loaded, this thing is pretty crazy. And I don't even miss my Tacoma driving this. So hopping into the mods that this GX470 has, it has Dobson suspension. It lifts it up 3 inches. It's not the MRR kit that I had on my Tacoma. It is the entry level from Dobson's, but they seem to ride really nice. I actually, well, in my opinion, it also has the heaviest springs, but it seems to be riding really nice on par with my Tacoma. But it doesn't have the adjustability my Tacoma had with those MRRs where I could hit the trail, make it as soft as I wanted, and then when I get back on the road, make it as hard as I wanted. I would not recommend taking off the front sway bar off this vehicle like I did in my Tacoma, because 1, it doesn't have that suspension to tighten up the front end, and also it's a little bit more top heavy than my Tacoma. As you can tell, she's very big. It is also sitting on 34 by 10.5 R17 KO2 tires. These seem to be performing very well because of how soundproof the Lexus is. I don't really hear those KO2s that much. I know my mom has KO2s on her Forester and they are very loud and I did not like them compared to my Falcons. But because of all the soundproofness that this Lexus has, it's pretty great. I don't hear them at all. It also has Freedom off-road upper control arms and it has a Bison gear roof rack. And I think that's like an Amazon snorkel. It is not hooked up, it's just there. The hole is not drilled in the fender yet, so that might be a project we do as well. Other than that, it's basically all stock. The tires seem to be holding up very well. It's about a 35, 34 inch tire. It rubs when you back up at full tilt. I think it's rubbing on a fender or something, but when the suspension is articulating, it's not rubbing at all, so I'm pretty impressed with that. I don't know what kind of offset he has on those steel wheels, but it seems to be holding up fairly well. So I'm probably gonna leave it like that until I need to replace my tires, and then I'm gonna be downsizing the tires to 33s because 35s are a bit aggressive and it kind of does hurt the gas mileage a little bit. We'll talk about gas mileage here compared to the Tacoma, but those are the mods. Onto the gas mileage, as you know, this has a V8 in it. It's basically sitting on 35s right now with steel wheels. So the wheels are very heavy. It's up high, it's not very aerodynamic. It's probably getting really bad gas mileage, but compared to my Tacoma, which was also lifted up, not aerodynamic, had a 10 on it, had all this stuff. I usually get about 14 to 15 in the winter season in my Tacoma, and I'm getting about 13 to 12 to 13 right now in this. Right now it's sitting on an average of 13.8, and I'm at almost a half a tank. So it seems to be about the same, and it has a lot more power compared to my Tacoma. I'm very impressed with this V8, to be honest, and just this drivetrain alone makes me not miss my Tacoma at all. And I was honestly considering this as a downgrade this entire time in this whole process. I was like, I'm downgrading to an older vehicle. You know, it is what it is. It sucks, but I'm gonna have that extra money, which is gonna be great because I'm gonna be able to do cooler videos on YouTube with that extra money. But honestly, at this point right now, it doesn't feel like a downgrade at all. It almost feels like an upgrade to me. Well, it does feel like an upgrade to me actually. And once I get the speakers working on the inside, I get Apple CarPlay hooked up on the inside, do a couple little creature comforts on the inside of the vehicle to make it more up to what I'm looking for, I honestly won't miss my Tacoma at all. This thing is pretty crazy, and I'm glad I went with this Lexus rather than the 4Runner. The reason why I did pick the Lexus rather than the 4Runner was mainly when I test drove it, it was a lot smaller, even smaller than the interior of my Tacoma. This just feels so much bigger. It feels taller on the inside. It just feels bigger all around, and I really enjoy that. So we talked about fuel economy. It's about the same as my truck at this point, from what I can tell. Talked about all the pros to this. There are downsides to downgrading to a 20-year-old vehicle, and that's gonna be maintenance. So you're gonna have maintenance, that is what it is. When I bought this, I did get it under $10,000. I talked him down a good bit because there were some issues. There were lights on the dash. The water pump is leaking a little bit, so I'm gonna have to change that out. I do smell antifreeze. Hopefully it is the water pump and I don't tear it apart and see the head gasket is leaking a little bit. Not a big deal, we can change the head gasket out, but you either need a good mechanic that isn't gonna bend you over, or you're gonna have to be somewhat DIY capable to own an older vehicle and be able to do the maintenance on it. You're gonna have ball joints, you're gonna have bushings, you're gonna have all kinds of stuff that needs replaced on these 20-year-old vehicles. All the rubber mounts are gonna be dried out at this point unless somebody took really good care of it. So if you are considering downgrading to get out of your payment, you do need to realize that it does come with the risk of having to do maintenance. Now, I know for a fact that the vehicle I bought behind me, this Lexus GX470, is as bulletproof as a vehicle as you can get. So I'm pretty confident that my $600 truck payment, I won't equal that a month on what I'll be doing maintenance on this. I'm gonna have about $1,400 into doing the timing belt because I'm gonna do it. He said he did it, but you can't trust people. Although he seemed like a pretty trustworthy guy, I've been burned in the past on used vehicles. So if you're looking for a 2UZ like this and someone says that the timing belt is done, either have paperwork or just plan on doing it as soon as you get the vehicle, just to have peace of mind, because if that breaks, you're gonna be replacing the engine. Some people say the 2UZ timing belt can break and it doesn't damage the internals, but 9 times out of 10, when a timing belt breaks, you're gonna be bending valves, you're gonna be having a bad time. So just change it if you are going to be buying used. It's about $1,400. You could probably do it yourself for about $700 because it is cold in winter out right now, 10 degrees. I don't have a garage. I will have to be paying my buddy with his garage to be doing this project because, well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not in the mood to be doing a timing belt out here in the 10-degree weather. I don't even want to be out here recording this right now because I'm so cold. Look, I'm in gloves, I'm in overalls. It's crazy out here. So yeah, maintenance, watch out for that. Either be a DIY guy with your own garage or be prepared to fork over a little bit of money to make sure you can maintain the road worthiness of a 20-year-old vehicle. Other than that, that's really the only downside of buying a used vehicle. I hope you guys are enjoying this video. Hope you guys like the new rig. I know it's not a Toyota Tacoma, but we're gonna be doing a lot of cool adventures out of this. Because this is a 20-year-old vehicle, I wanna focus on building things with it. I got a lot of overland things I wanna do on the inside of this, and I'm gonna be focusing on doing them purely DIY. There are brands that can make a lot of cool stuff for these, but for me, I wanna be doing a lot of DIY stuff. I'm not gonna give you any hints, but a lot of stuff is gonna be DIY on this vehicle behind me because I am going to be building it to be just as capable as my Tacoma, because I'm planning on going out west for a few months, or probably about a month or so. out of this. So we're gonna be traveling, it needs to be bulletproof, it needs to be ready to go, because this is going to be the Tacoma replacement. We're gonna be doing overland adventures, we're gonna be traveling in it, it's gonna be crazy, and we're gonna be keeping it on the road as long as I possibly can. So that means we're gonna be doing maintenance in the yard until I get a garage eventually. That's gonna be the other goal with this Lexus, is to keep it on the road as long as I possibly can. It should make for some interesting content. I'm excited. I hope you guys enjoy the vehicle. I hope you guys get some insight about downgrading. I think I covered everything I want to in this video. At this point, I'm getting very cold. That probably really disgusted you hearing me do that with my nose. I'm sorry. It's cold out here. All right. I'm trying to think of anything else I have to tell you about this awesome vehicle. I am in love with it. I don't miss my Tacoma yet at all. This thing is a beast. I can't wait to dig into it a little bit more when it gets warmer out, do some DIY projects. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It means a ton to me. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. And if you right there, if you hit that subscribe button, we're gonna be one step closer. I mean, we're really getting close now. Okay, I'm going inside. Check this video out right here. It's really good. I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully it gets a little bit warmer in the next video.